borders to the UK because of the emergence of a new coronavirus variant here. The port of Dover has shut to outbound traffic for 48 hours, prompting the government to warn of severe disruption in Kent. The Prime Minister will chair the Emergency Committee COBRA in the morning. The Health Secretary, Matt Hancock, has said the new variant is out of control and tougher restrictions may be needed for months. Also tonight, Lewis Hamilton has been named Sports Personality of the Year, and Dame Fanny Waterman, who helped generations of young musicians learn the piano, has died at the age of 100. A growing number of countries are imposing travel bans on Britain to try to prevent the spread of a new variant of coronavirus, which is being blamed for a rapid rise in infections in London and the southeast. The Port of Dover has said tonight that no lorries or passengers are being allowed to leave the UK after France closed the border with the UK for 48 hours. The Transport Secretary, Grant Shapps, has warned of significant disruption and has urged everyone, including hauliers, to avoid travelling to ports in Kent until further notice. Boris Johnson will chair a meeting of the government's emergency COBRA meeting in the morning to discuss the coronavirus crisis. Our Europe correspondent, Gavin Lee, reports.
The speed at which European governments have announced their plans to stop travellers from the UK entering their countries shows the scale of the alarm at the news that the coronavirus variant could be 70% more transmissible than other strains. 9 cases of the same strain has already been detected in Denmark, along with 1 case in Italy and another in the Netherlands in recent days. The Dutch government was the first to implement a ban on all flights from the UK until the new year. Tonight, all travel links between France and the UK have stopped for 48 hours, including the Eurotunnel, the first time the route has been closed since a fire 12 years ago. Belgium has also suspended flights and Eurostar trains for 24 hours. These passengers on the final train from Brussels to St Pancras earlier this evening said they've had to make last-minute plans to get home.
My train was meant to be for tomorrow evening, but they sent me a text at like 2 o'clock this afternoon saying your train's been cancelled, you have to get out of the country now, basically, if you want to get out.
So I got an email and a text message today, your Eurostar train's been cancelled, which is obviously very gutting, but yeah, I just went and clicked the link and straight away changed my ticket to today. It's been a bit of a crazy 24 hours, but yeah, very thankful to be here and yeah, hopefully get home.
Within the next few hours, Germany, the Czech Republic, Bulgaria, Austria and Turkey will all close their airspace to UK flights. The Republic of Ireland is stopping flights and ferries too from the British mainland. Later this morning, officials from EU member states are due to meet to try to coordinate the imposition of Europe-wide travel restrictions on the UK.
Supermarkets have played down fears of food shortages as a knock-on effect of the ban on lorries leaving Dover. They say their warehouses are well stocked, but the road haulage industry has called the disruption a hammer blow. Government sources have insisted that the travel ban won't affect delivery of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine, which comes from Belgium. Here's our business editor, Simon Jack.
The Port of Dover is the most important trade artery in the UK. 10,000 lorries pass through every day, delivering nearly 20% of all goods bought and sold here. So government advice to hauliers to avoid Kent is a very significant intervention. Although the port is closed only for outbound accompanied freight, in other words lorries, hauliers and retailers expressed concern that many traders would not want to send lorries and drivers to the UK if they were likely to be marooned on this side of the channel. The Food and Drink Federation said the closure had the potential to cause serious disruption to UK Christmas fresh food supplies. But the British Retail Consortium struck a more reassuring tone, saying supermarkets were well stocked ahead of Christmas, which should prevent any immediate problems. Food producers, retailers and haulage groups all called on UK and EU governments to find a solution to exempt freight lorries from the measures as quickly as possible. UK ports are already under pressure from disruption caused by huge consignments of PPE arriving from China, pre-Brexit stockpiling and the customary extra Christmas volume. Contingency plans drawn up to keep goods moving in case there is no post-Brexit deal are now expected to have to swing into action earlier than anticipated.
The Health Secretary, Matt Hancock, has admitted that the new variant is out of control after London and much of southeast England were moved suddenly into tougher restrictions on Saturday night. People living under the Tier 4 measures are no longer allowed to mix with other households at Christmas as promised, and non-essential shops and gyms are closed. Mr. Hancock told the BBC that the new rules might have to stay in place for some time. The Labour leader, Sir Keir Starmer, said government indecision about COVID measures was costing lives. Here's our political correspondent, Jessica Parker.
Matt Hancock's assessment of the new variant was stark. It was, he said, out of control. Defending the measures introduced overnight, he explained that one of the reasons for travel restrictions in and out of Tier 4 areas was to try to stop the virus's spread. The Health Secretary also suggested the new restrictions could last for months.
The new variant is out of control and we need to bring it under control, and we don't know how long these measures are going to be in place. It may be for some time until we can get the vaccine going. That isn't an easy thing to say. These things are not straightforward.
Mr Hancock said he first found out about the new variant 9 days ago, and it was on Friday when scientists told ministers it was up to 70% more transmissible. Having been handed that information, he insisted the government acted fast. But the Labour leader, Sir Keir Starmer, who earlier this week had called for tougher rules over Christmas, claimed that the alarm bells had been ringing for weeks.
We have a Prime Minister who is so scared of being unpopular that he is incapable of taking tough decisions until it's too late. It is this indecision, a weak leadership, that is costing lives and costing jobs.
The Labour leader appeared to sidestep a question over the fact that the governments in Scotland and Labour-run Wales had also announced or brought forward significant curbs also yesterday. But there's anger too from Conservative MPs. Sir Charles Walker has suggested the Health Secretary should consider his position.
We have a tier system that keeps collapsing. We've proven now tested to destruction that lockdowns don't work. We have an economy that is not creating jobs but losing millions of jobs across the piece. So you tell me when the right time for someone is to offer their resignation.
There have also been suggestions from the Tory benches that Parliament should be recalled to vote on the new measures. But Matt Hancock has said a vote won't happen until January. In or out of Parliament, debates on yesterday's course of action are likely to continue into the new year. But for now, people across the country face a very different and in some cases very difficult Christmas.
The latest daily figures show that 35,928 new coronavirus infections have been recorded across the UK, an all-time high, and a rise of nearly 9,000 on yesterday. A further 326 people have died within 28 days of testing positive for the disease, bringing the total to 67,401. Police Scotland will double its presence along the border with England to deter people from breaching coronavirus restrictions over Christmas. The force's chief constable insisted the measures were absolutely necessary to save lives. From Glasgow, Alexandra Mackenzie reports.
The travel ban between Scotland and the rest of the UK was due to be eased for 5 days over Christmas, but yesterday Scotland's First Minister said that would no longer be possible. Nicola Sturgeon said he would ask how enforcement could be strengthened, but said it was a matter for Police Scotland. Chief Constable Ian Livingston said there would be no roadblocks or checkpoints, but said he would double the police presence in the border areas to deter anyone who may consider breaching the travel restrictions.
A statement is expected from the Northern Ireland Executive after more than a 2-hour-long meeting broke up without agreement on travel restrictions. It's understood the Executive did agree that the easing of Christmas rules should be reduced from 5 days to 1 Christmas Day, but with some flexibility. It's likely there'll be another meeting in the morning. The Formula One World Champion Lewis Hamilton has been named the BBC Sports Personality of the Year. He equalled Michael Schumacher's record of 7 world titles after securing his 4th consecutive championship this season. In the public vote, the Liverpool captain Jordan Henderson finished 2nd, while the jockey Holly Doyle was 3rd. Lewis Hamilton previously won in 2014 and said he didn't think he'd win it again.
I really wasn't expecting this, knowing that there's just so many great contenders, but I think we're all winners. And I really want to send a Merry Christmas to everyone. I know it's been such an unusual year, but all the frontline workers, all the children around the world, please try and stay positive through this difficult time. I'm sending everyone positivity, and again, thank you from the bottom of my heart.
In football, Celtic have won a 12th consecutive domestic trophy in Scotland, and Leicester City have moved up to 2nd place in the Premier League with victory at Tottenham. With the details of the day's sport, here's Shabnam Yunus Jewel.
Celtic has completed an historic quadruple treble, winning the Scottish Cup to lift their 12th trophy in a row. They beat Hearts 4-3 on penalties after a 3-3 draw at Hampden Park. Celtic boss Neil Lennon is the first to win a treble as both player and manager.
I'm a unique band of one, and I'm very, very proud. I'm very grateful to the people who supported me and helped me achieve this along the way, particularly the players. They've been magnificent.
Manchester United manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer says he doesn't care about anyone talking up their title chances. They thrashed Leeds United 6-2 to go third with a game in hand.
You know, it's 13 games into the season. We're a work in progress. We're getting better. We're getting fitter, stronger. Still a few details to nail, and let's talk about that later on.
Leicester won 2-0 at Tottenham to leapfrog them into second. Sam Allardyce's first match as West Brom manager saw them lose 3-0 at home to Aston Villa. Brighton and Sheffield United drew 1-1. Manchester United will be top of the Women's Super League at Christmas after thrashing bottom side Bristol City. Tobin Heath scored twice in the 6-1 win.
I told the group to not shut off, to continue to keep our standards high. No matter who we're playing, we have to, set very high standards for ourselves and not take any game, any pass for granted, because everything is a moment for us to get better as a group.
Meanwhile, Arsenal beat Everton 4-0 to go second. In Rugby Union's Champions Cup, Bristol won 27-18 away to Connacht to claim a bonus point win. Harlequins were humbled 49-7 by Racing 92 at home, while in the Challenge Cup, London Irish beat Powys 26-17, and in the Women's Premier 15, Harlequins won 24-12 at Worcester. And world number one Judd Trump beat Jack Lazowski 10-7 to win snooker's World Grand Prix. It's Trump's third ranking win of the season.
And now look at the morning papers. The French show no merci is the Sun's take on the COVID travel ban imposed by President Macron because of the mutant COVID strain. It says the blockade is stoking fears of a massive breakdown in food and goods supplies over Christmas. The Times says Europe has shut the door on Britain. The Guardian shows a long line of passengers at St Pancras in London waiting to board one of the last trains to Paris. The Metro says the UK has been put into isolation by Europe. Tier 4 lockdown may remain until Easter is the headline in the Daily Telegraph. It says ministers believe at least 20 million people will need to be vaccinated before restrictions can be eased. The Daily Mail calls the current lockdown the worst Noel. The piano teacher Dame Fanny Waterman, whose book helped generations of young musicians learn to play, has died aged 100 at a care home in Yorkshire. Dame Fanny also founded the Leeds International Piano Competition, only retiring from running it 5 years ago, and was president of the Harrogate International Music Festival. She told Desert Island Discs in 2010 that she was known as Field Marshal Fanny because she was, in her words, a busy breeches. David Sillito looks back on her life.
It started when I really couldn't get to sleep one night, and I woke my husband up and I said, I think we'll have a piano competition in Leeds. And he said, oh, it'll never work here, this must be held in London. And the moment he said anything like this to me, it inspired me to go ahead and prove him to be wrong.
And she did. In 1963, Fanny Waterman and the Countess of Harwood, both former students at the Royal College of Music, launched the Leeds International Pianoforte Festival. Many of the great pianists of the last 50 years made their name here on the stage of Leeds Town Hall. Sir Arthur Bliss, Master of the Queen's Music, was a judge at the first competition. The Duchess of Kent presented the prize in 1972, but Fanny Waterman's background was far from aristocratic wealth.
We were an impoverished family, really. My father came from Russia at the turn of century. We shared the loos with 5 neighbours. And I don't think I realised really that we were rock bottom.
But she had natural talent. She won a music scholarship, she performed, and she became one of the country's most famous music teachers. Sales of Waterman and Harwood's piano course ran into the millions. And for Leeds, its place as a springboard for fame in the world of classical music, the legacy of Dame Fanny Waterman.
The Dame Fanny Waterman gold medal is awarded to...
The headlines again. A growing list of European countries, including France, have suspended travel links from the UK to try to prevent the spread of a new variant of coronavirus sweeping through southeast England. No lorries or passengers are being allowed to leave the port of Dover. The Health Secretary, Matt Hancock, has said the new variant is out of control and tougher restrictions may be needed for months. And Lewis Hamilton has been crowned BBC Sports Personality of the Year for a second time. BBC News.
Read by BG Alice.